Hello everyone, my name is Greg Kremen. We've all seen or heard in the news about companies purchasing, combining, or taking over other companies. In the current economy, it's a pretty normal thing. Some examples are Amazon buying Whole Foods, or even Disney merging with Pixar. Mergers and acquisitions like this inherently come with a large number of potential issues that we as practitioners are charged with handling. In this presentation, we will be discussing organization-wide integration with regards to mergers and acquisitions. The main purpose of organization-wide integration is to remove gridlock and promote future potential through the organization design and large group interventions. Our goal is to combine two separate entities in one coherent organization set up for success. Our role as practitioners, however, shifts from previous interventions. Instead of being hands-on in the data collecting and analysis, our job is to be more organizers, giving insight to how data should be assigned and analyzed. Companies often employ transition teams in times like this to attempt to ensure a smooth transition. These teams are charged with doing most of the dirty work we would normally be handling. The most common tools to create successful merger is the use of data-driven organizational design and large group interventions. We will dive into organizational design a little bit later, but right now let's focus on large group interventions. These interventions are used to create significant lasting change to organizations' fundamental parts such as structure and procedures. These interventions are large, often organization-wide. They are complex with multiple steps and follow-ups and revisions. Due to the breadth and depth of these far-reaching changes, they also come with a much longer time frame. Organizational design is one of the key components to effectively integrating an organization. It assists in bringing together the goals, structure, culture, and purposes of why each individual company exists. It creates a clear breakdown for employees of newly formed organizations, strategy, structure, people, rewards, and processes. Ambiguity in these categories often lead to communication breakdowns, gridlock, internal strife, and conflict amongst employees and teams. Shown here are two examples of organizational design. One, we have Galbraith's STAR model on top, and then we have McKinsey's SEVENS model on the bottom. The STAR model includes strategy, structure, processes, rewards, and people, whereas the SEVENS model includes the shared values and culture in the organizational design. It is worth noting that there is a difference between structure and design. Structure refers to positions on an organizational chart, such as CEO, VP, etc., whereas design includes multiple other considering factors. Next, we'll briefly talk a little bit about strengths and weaknesses. Some major weaknesses are that the process of large interventions comes with a lengthy timeline. Transition teams remain intact, revising and applying new designs as more information becomes available. Also, in the pre-contract stage, there's a very limited amount of information, and most decisions are made pragmatically with financial pressures. Some of the strengths we have is that a well-applied organizational design implemented early in a merger and acquisition fixes a lot of those internal issues and questions that spring up otherwise. So for example, if you have a team and you don't know if you're responding to your team leader or the new organization's team leader, or whose boss is who now, or where do I turn, my W-2 into, and all this other stuff. These transition teams can also kind of give a kickstart to the culture and the ability to create a coherent one. Application of these can best be seen in three major phases of mergers and acquisitions. In the pre-contract phase, The respective organizations should create transition teams in order to collect unbiased data on their own company's culture, structure, human capital, resources, and processes. This data is vital in later decision making. Usually in the pre-contract stage, most people are just focused on what the financial issues are. How much is it going to cost? What are their assets? What do they owe? But a lot of people have found that diving into kind of the culture and seeing if it's going to work at that point really saves people a lot of money, a lot of headache later on down the road. The post-contract phase is characterized by organizations being legally one, but still operating as two different entities. In this phase, the gathered data is analyzed and an initial organization design is created and distributed effectively throughout both entities. This allows for everyone to see a somewhat clear roadmap of what is to come. By doing this and sending it out ahead of time, even if it's not the final one, at least people have a direction where they're going. You can see whether, hey, I'm going to jump ship now or try and hang in this and see if I can make it out the other side. It also improves communication by giving that structure, that direct lines to show, alright, who's in charge where now, and where do I need to be answering to. The last and most important to success is the post-combination phase. This is characterized by continuous revisions to the original design as transition teams and practitioners identify shortcomings in the original plan. This process can often last years and is the last step in organization-wide integration in a merger and acquisition. Thank you all for your time. I really appreciate you watching this, and I hope you learned some things today.